If you fly with ExpressLRS, it would be really easy for you to think that fail-safes are not something you have to worry about. ExpressLRS is very good at giving long range with very little risk of fail-safe. But how do you know if your antenna's been damaged? Especially if you've got one of those little ceramic antennas. Like if you've got a wire antenna, it's pretty obvious if it's been chopped by a propeller or something. But if you've got those little ceramic antennas, they can get damaged in a crash and you may not really obviously know that it's happened. In this video, we're going to talk about a way to test whether your ExpressLRS antenna is sort of working roughly as it should. And then we'll talk about how to set up the dBm and LQ thresholds at which you should think about whether you need to turn around or you're at risk of failsafe. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Before we go fly with this little receiver, we're going to want to sanity check that it is getting the kind of signal strength that it is meant to get. I have heard some reports from some people over on the ExpressLRS Discord that sometimes these tiny little ceramic antennas are damaged. Whether that's from the factory or whether that's you're flying them and banging them around and they're getting damaged, it's not always obvious that they've gotten damaged. So there's a sanity check you can do. We're going to plug this quad in. And then here on the radio, we're going to press the model key or the menu key if you have a FrSky radio. We're going to get to the model setup screen and we are going to page to the telemetry screen. And we'll go down. If you've never done this before, you'll need to go down and discover new sensors. And you should see a whole bunch of telemetry sensors come in from your ExpressLRS receiver. And what we want to look at is the 1RSS sensor, and that is the received signal strength from the receiver. What we're then going to do is we're going to back out. I'm going to long press the sys key to get to the tools menu, or on a FrSky radio, I believe you long press the menu key. Pretty sure about that. Been a long time since I owned a FrSky radio as my daily driver. We're going to go down to the ExpressLRS Lua script, which presumably you installed, and we're going to set the power to 10 milliwatts. And what you want to see is that the 1RSS sensor has a value of about -30 to -35 dB when the quadcopter and the radio are about 1 meter from each other. And in my case, I'm getting a value of closer to -60 dB. Remember, this is a negative number, so -35 is higher. It's better than -60. And that, according to Alessandro, at least, the lead ExpressLRS dev, might be an indicator that my antenna on my receiver is messed up. So let's go ahead. I'm going to replace this receiver, and I'm going to see if things get better. Well, I just soldered up a second receiver, and I'm getting pretty much the exact same result. Hey there folks, Joshua from the future here. I tested all three of my receivers and they all gave basically the same numbers that you're seeing here. About -45 dBm when they were inches apart and about -60 to -65 at a distance of about 1 meter. The exact number you see depends on the orientation of the antenna and positioning, but that's the results I got. And I heard from other people online who are getting similar results. Alessandro's result of -35 at a distance of 1 meter may be an outlier, I don't know. But if you're getting significantly worse than, let's say, -60 to 65 at a distance of about 1 meter at 10 milliwatts, then you may have a problem with your antenna. The other thing that you're going to want to do is this. Go into your ExpressLRS Lua script, and for your packet rate, which in my case is 250 hertz, there's going to be a dBm threshold. And that is the failsafe threshold where the signal is too weak. What you're going to want to do is connect to your flight controller. And here in the OSD tab, we need to set the RSSI dBm. So we want RSSI dBm to be visible in the screen. And here in the OSD tab, we're going to make sure that RSSI dBm is turned on. Okay, and that's going to give us the actual decibel value of RSSI. We can put that, I don't know where you put that, whatever you like. And the other thing we're going to do, we'll save that. We're going to go into the CLI, set OSD RSSI dBm alarm equals, and we're going to take this threshold, in this case it's -108 dBm, and we're going to add 10 to it. So from -108 to -98, and we're going to set that to the threshold to -98. Shush now. That seems to have worked. And we will save that. Let's see. The other thing we're going to want to do, yeah, let's do this. Let's turn off the RSSI warning and turn on the RSSI DBM warning. And the reason for that is that the RSSI value is not being calibrated to ExpressLRS's specific needs. And in fact, RSSI % isn't even really a meaningful thing. RSSI DBM is an actual number. So let's just not worry about RSSI %. We'll worry about RSSI DBM. The next thing we've got to tackle is link quality, or LQ. What is the LQ threshold at which you're at risk of fail-safing and you need to think about turning around and coming home? Now, Crossfire gives a specific number. With Crossfire, if you're in mode 1 at an LQ of about 70 to 80, they say you need to think about turning around. And the ExpressLRS devs have explicitly avoided making they won't make recommendations like this. And that's because the way that LQ works is LQ is an estimate of the percentage of missing packets in your data stream. So the module sends packets to the receiver. The packets contain your channel positions at that point in time. And if there's interference or low RSSI, then some of the packets don't get there. So if you have an LQ of 90, then that means that 10% of your packets are missing and 90% are getting through. And of course, the lower the LQ, the more are missing. The thing is, there is no fixed LQ value at which point your link fail-safes. The more missing packets there are, the more sort of micro fail-safes you get, and the harder it is to control your aircraft. But if you talk to guys like Wesley Vardy, the guy who does the long-range testing with ExpressLRS, he's talked about flying his wing at an LQ of 7. But only 7% of his packets were getting through. But because the plane was basically flying autonomously using iNav, he didn't really have to make a lot of inputs, and the link stayed up, and he was able to bring it home. So there is no LQ threshold at which you can say, yeah, you're about to fail safe and you must come home. As long as your RSSI is reasonably above that threshold, you will continue to get some data through, probably. But the lower your LQ, the more sort of micro fail-safes you have, and the harder your quad is going to be to control. And frankly, with any time LQ is less than 98% with ExpressLRS, something's probably up. ExpressLRS is very, very good at keeping LQ high and keeping the link high. So I would start to wonder what was going on if it started to drop at all. But where is the threshold where it becomes unflyable for you? That's something that only you can figure out through testing. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video. I've got a whole bunch more videos about ExpressLRS, reviews of ExpressLRS equipment, setup guides, and so forth. I'll put a link down in the video description to some of those that I think you might be interested in. If you're not into ExpressLRS, then I'm not sure why you watched this whole video all the way to the end, but thank you. My analytics love you. ExpressLRS is amazing. It's the same price or cheaper than something like FrSky. It is way, way better performance in terms of range and latency, and it's about equally as annoying to deal, maybe slightly less annoying to deal with firmware flashing and so forth. If you're not already into ExpressLRS, definitely check it out. Unless you're into Crossfire or Ghost or maybe Tracer, in which case maybe you like those instead. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Happy flying. Do you see this baby? Isn't he cute? Hit the subscribe button. Join my Patreon. Use my affiliate links. Or just keep watching videos. That's better than nothing.
Cuckoo Gaga, subscribe to my daddy.